Hi, now we are going to discuss allied or related angles. Before going to start discussing about allied or related angles, I would like to recap two fundamental knowledge, and one is that the value of the trigonometric functions of the major acute angles like 0, pi by 6, pi by 4, pi by 3 and pi by 2, and the co-functions of the trigonometric functions sine, cos, tan. So if you remember, the value of the major acute angles for these trigonometric functions are like this. We can make it in a tabular form. Okay. So this is 0, this is pi by 6, this is pi by 4, this is pi by 3, and this is pi by 2. Now we can break it into three different rows, one for sine, one for cos, and the last one for tan. So we are going to place the values of these angles in this cells. The value of sine 0 is 0. The value of sine pi by 6, which is sine 30 degree, is 1 by 2. The value of sine pi by 4, that is sine 45 degree, is 1 by root 2. The value of sine pi by 3, that is sine 60 degree, is root 3 by 2. The value of sine pi by 2, that is sine 90 degree, is 1. The value of cos will be like this. Cos 0 is 1. Cos pi by 3 is root 3 by 2. Cos pi by 4 is 1 by root 2. Cos pi by 3 is 1 by 2. And cos 90 degree is 0. Tan 0 is 0. Tan pi by 6 is 1 by root 3. Tan pi by 4 is 1. Tan pi by 3 is root 3. And tan pi by 2 is not defined. Correct? This is one thing. And the second thing is that the discussion about co-function. So what are the co-functions? Let's see. Sine and cos are co-function to each other. That means cos is the co-function of sine and sine is the co-function of cos. So we can tell like this: sine and cos are co-function to each other. Similarly, tan and cot are co-function to each other. That means cot is the co-function of tan and tan is the co-function of cot. Now, with these two prior knowledge, we can now start discussing about allied or related angles. What is allied angle? Any angle which can be expressed in terms of n into pi by 2 plus theta or n into pi by 2 minus theta is known as allied angles, where n is any integer and theta is an acute angle. Correct? For example, if someone tells me that okay, 7 pi by 4, is it an allied angle? Let's say we can express 7 pi by 4 like this. It is 3 into pi by 2 plus pi by 4. Yes, it is an allied angle. Why? I can express 7 pi by 4 as 3 into pi by 2. Alright? So 3 is an integer and plus pi by 4, which is theta. Here I can say n as 3 and theta as pi by 4. N is an integer and theta is an acute angle. So yes, this is an allied angle. Actually, any angle can be transformed in the form of an allied angles. How? You take any angle, divide it by 90 degree, that is pi by 2, and you will get a quotient and you will get a remainder. Remember that if you divide any number, that is the angle in this case, by 90 degree, you will always get a remainder which is less than 90. So obviously you will get theta as, which is the remainder, as acute angle, and n is obviously the quotient, an integer. Correct? Now the point is that if someone tells me what is the value of sine 7 pi by 4, how we are going to compute it? The point is that to compute the value of 7 pi by 4, I give the example of sine. Similarly, the other trigonometric functions will also come into the picture. There is a principle, there is a rule by which we can compute the value of any angles expressed in the form of an allied angle. Let's see. You know, these two, n into pi by 2 plus theta and n into pi by 2 minus theta, can be clubbed together as n into pi by 2 plus minus theta. Now let's see how we can compute the value of any trigonometric functions expressed in the form n into pi by 2 plus theta. The similar approach will be applicable to n into pi by 2 minus theta. Right. So n into pi by 2 plus theta, first we will see the value of n is whether n is an even number, even integer or odd integer. If n is even, then we will take one kind of decision, and if n is odd, we will take another kind of decision. So here we are saying n is even, and here we will take n is odd. If n is even, then whatever the value of the trigonometric functions you are going to compute for n into pi by 2 theta, so same thing will be coming here with theta. What does it mean? If we are going to compute for the value of sine n into pi by 2 by n into pi by 2 plus theta, and in case n is even, then it will be sine theta. As simple as that. And in case, this is the first part, second part is still remaining, that what will be the sine of this sine theta? Then you need to compute where n into pi by 2 plus theta, in which quadrant it lies. In that quadrant, if sine is positive, it will be positive. If in that quadrant sine is negative, it will be negative. Right? Correct. Now, if n is odd, then it will be the cofunction of sine. That means, in this case, it will be cos theta. That is the value. What is the sign of this value? Means whether it is positive or negative, that depends on in that quadrant, that angle, in this angle lies in which quadrant. And in this quadrant, if sine is positive, here the value will be positive. And in that quadrant, if sine is negative, this value will be negative. I explained here by means of the function sine, but similar thing it will be applicable to the other trigonometric functions as well. Let's take, instead of sine, instead of sine, let's take, here it is tan. Okay, so what will happen here? The moment n is even, it will be tan, will be the same tan, the same thing, it will be tan theta. And the value, that whether it is positive or negative, that depends on in which quadrant this entire angle is actually residing, and in that quadrant whether tan is positive or not. That means if in this quadrant where n into pi by 2 plus theta lies, in that quadrant if tan is positive, this will be positive. If in this quadrant tan is negative, it will be negative. Done? So by this time we are able to compute both the values and its signature, that is whether it is positive or negative. Now in case n is odd, it will be the cofunction of tan. We know what is the cofunction of tan? Cofunction of tan is cot. So it will be cot theta, the value you obtain, but whether it will be positive or negative, that depends on in this quadrant whether tan is positive or not. If in this quadrant, in the quadrant in which this angle lies, that is n into pi by 2 plus theta, then in that quadrant if tan is positive, it will be positive. If in this quadrant if tan is negative, it will be negative. Alright? So in that way, how we can compute the value of sine 7 pi by 4? So sine 7 pi by 4 means sine 3 into pi by 2 plus 4. So definitely it will be, so what we can write here is that is equal to sine into 3 pi by 2 plus 4. Now sine 3 means 3 is an odd number. So it will be its cofunction, that is cos pi by 4. Right? And what will be the sign of this function, means whether it will be positive or negative, that depends on 7 pi by 4 lies in which quadrant, and in that quadrant what is the value of sine. So if we quickly recap our previous class, so this is 0, this is pi by 2, this is pi, this is 3 pi by 2, and this is again 2 pi. So this is first quadrant, this is second quadrant, this is third quadrant, and this is fourth quadrant. Now 7 pi by 4 is 3 into pi by 2, that means this one plus pi by 4. So that means 7 pi by 4 lies in that fourth quadrant. And in fourth quadrant, sine is negative, so it will be minus cos pi by 4. And we know what is the value of cos pi by 4? Cos pi by 4 is 1 by root 2. So the value is minus 1 by root 2. Correct? Alright. So again let us recap quickly how to find the values of trigonometric functions of any angle. Our first step should be divide that angle by pi by 2. And if you divide that angle by pi by 2, you can always express that angle in the form of n into pi by 2 plus theta or n into pi by 2 minus theta. Let's take the case of n by n into pi by 2 plus theta. Then we will see whether n is even or odd. If n is even, then the value of that trigonometric function, in this case here whatever is written in the board is tan, it will be the same function tan with theta. And that is the value, whether it is positive or negative, that depends on this angle lies in which quadrant, and in that quadrant whether tan is positive or not. Simple thing, but very important. And similarly, in case n is odd, we will find the value of the cofunction of tan. What is the cofunction of tan? Cofunction of tan is cot and cot theta. So this is the value, whether it will be positive or negative, that depends on the angle lies in which quadrant, and in this quadrant whether tan is positive or not. So in this quadrant if tan is positive, it will be positive, and in this quadrant if tan is negative, it will be negative. Correct? Thank you. Okay, so please spend some time on this. Then we are going to discuss our next topic, is that value of the negative angles for trigonometric functions. Thank you.